Welcome back! This is the Spurs Talk Show. How's everybody doing? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Saturday. It's game day for many, not for us. Tomorrow, 4:30, we play Nottingham Forest away. Should be 3 points, but will be a tough game. Don't really know what to make of Forest, just because they got so many new players. Something that, it's just insane. I think they've signed like 16 new players. So, to be honest, you've got to say they've started the season well, considering that disruption to their dressing room. But and they've got some good players in. Players like Emmanuel Dennis, who I would have loved at Tottenham. He was super cheap, available, and scored 10 goals from open play last season in a Watford team. Richarlison only scored 9 goals from open play last season. So, I don't know. Anyway. The point of today is, first of all, to update you just quickly on the Champions League fixtures. They are out. We got favourable ties again, in as much as we play Marseille at home on the first game week in a couple of weeks' time. Which, again, you want a home draw for the first game, and ideally you'd want it against the team that comes from pot 4, and we got that. So there really is no excuse for us to kick on and do well in this tournament, you'd hope. The things that might suffocate those hopes, strangle the life out of them, is a transfer window that is very, very quickly running out of time, running out of life, and running out of options for Tottenham. I said this in yesterday's walk. Maybe Conte looks at the rest of the fixtures that have now been added to the schedule and thinks, I've probably got enough to get through until January, so let's keep the powder dry. He seems to be happy. He keeps saying he's happy, although he caveats it with, if anyone else leaves, then we have to replace. But generally speaking, he seems to be content with the fact that the quality of the bench is far higher now than it was last season. Although you can make the argument that the first 11 really hasn't been significantly improved on. I think he said Bissouma's not quite tactically there yet. He's not ready quite for the 3-4-3. The same goes for Jed Spence. He said he's showing all of the determination and the effort to close the gap from being a championship level player to a Premier League player, but he's not there yet. And then you've got Longley, who seems to carry these little niggles and injuries, and Perisic, who seems to have the same issue. So really, the only player that's getting minutes, and not enough in my opinion, is Richarlison. Apart from that, we're sort of the same, aren't we? And that's a disappointment in many people's eyes, and I can understand why. You don't have to be Levy out or Enoch out to be frustrated with the window. You really don't. Especially when you look at like Chelsea. How much money have they spent now? 250 million quid. Cucurella, Koulibaly, Fofana for a record signing. Something like 85 million for that, 90 million for him. Well, they've overpaid for some of these players that they bought, but they might be getting Aubameyang. They've already got Sterling. They could also be going for Anthony Gordon. They could easily be at 400 million quid by the end of the window, and they might be going after Frankie De Jong still. That's a window, right? That's an absolute ridiculous window of bringing good quality in very quickly. Now, you could argue that they've massively overpaid, and I think they have for basically every one of those players You know, Koulibaly, good player. You know, in his 30s, you're paying that much money for a player in his 30s. I don't know. Cucurella, only one season, I think, in the Premier League with Brighton, and paying like 50, whatever it was, 60 million quid for him. Fofana, I mean, if that's 80, 90 million quid, like, look, great player, a lot of potential, could be their next centre-back, or their centre-back for the next 10 years. But, again, like, massive money. And they'll probably overpay for Aubameyang. You know, I think Barcelona want like 20 million or something, don't they, for him? And a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of Barcelona fans are writing him off, saying that he's not the same, he's finished. I don't know whether he is or he isn't, but he's always been a good player who can score goals, and that's what Chelsea desperately needed. And then, yeah, like I said, Raheem Sterling, wonderful player that will score goals and that will create distractions and pull players out of position. Very tricky. So this fella, Todd Boehly, has come in, and I did say this, I said this in May and June when the whole war thing happened and Chelsea were Abramovich was being forced to sell Chelsea. A lot of people were saying, oh, this is the end of Chelsea. And I said at the time, I don't think so. I think you're going to get, whoever the investors are going to probably get Chelsea at £1 billion cheaper valuation than what they would otherwise have to pay if Abramovich was just wanting to sell on a normal circumstances. And consequently, if you do happen to get an asset at a ridiculously reduced valuation, then that allows you to invest more money in extreme amounts into the areas of the pitch that can generate quicker revenue streams and quicker valuations, like the players. And I think that's what Todd Boehly's done. I also think, not that I have much credibility anymore or trust in FFP, but I do also remember reading that if you are a new owner and you inject new capital, then you have FFP forgiveness. So I don't even think they have to worry about how much money they spend in the short term. So good for them, you know. And if all those players that they sign, if they all do come into the team, and they all do hit the ground running, Chelsea look like a very strong team. I think a stronger team, almost, than last season. It's just down to whether Tuchel can get the best out of them in the right moments. The reason I'm talking about Chelsea, I don't really care about them, but you have to reflect on, you know, comparing and contrasting different teams you're competing with, and also different styles of ownership and leadership. And it does enable people that are inherently Levy out, if they were looking for a reason to amplify their voice, I think this window offers them that opportunity, because I do think it's been underwhelming. I don't think you have to be Levy out to see that this window, for me at least, has been frustrating and disappointing. And I think if you're Levy in or not Levy out, then you have to look a little bit further, look a little bit deeper for reasons to be optimistic, because the performances have not been great, the results have, but apart from, like, if the only reason why people, I think, are more tolerant of the window is because Conte seems to be happy. Conte appears to be, he keeps saying he's happy, he's good, he's improved the squad, but if players leave, then players have to come in. And that's okay, right? But yeah, I don't know. For me, it's a shame. We've still got 5 days left. We have to wait till the end. You never know what's going to happen. It does look as though Brian Hill's on his way out, and maybe Pape Matar Sarr as well. And those two players would be players that would require replacements. I think Winks, Reguilon, Lo Celso and Ndombele are players that were already discounted and so wouldn't require replacing. But if anybody else left, Tanganga, Hill, Sarr, Spence, if any of those guys go out on loan or permanently, then I think that's where Paratici needs to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Running out of time though, guys, huh? Running out of time. And I just think that we missed the trick. I do think, for me personally, I do think that we hung our hat on the idea of getting Bastoni or Guardiola or whatever in as a centre back. That didn't happen. And whilst I can appreciate, I said yesterday, I can appreciate the idea of us not settling for the bridesmaid when you really want the bride. I can appreciate that. For me, it's a... Hey guys, Bugs, come on. Sorry about that. Yeah, just to finish up, guys, I do think that it has been a bit of a missed opportunity. I appreciate the fact that don't settle for the bridesmaid when you've identified the bride. However, we're running real short on time and we are still only a couple of injuries away in wrong positions to being just as weak as we were last season. And that is disappointed. There's no other way. I don't know how else you can describe it. I don't care what side of the fence you're on, you know. But I don't know whose fault it is. Is it Daniel Levy saying no to transfers? I don't think we were beaten to any transfers by other teams that were willing to pay more. Like the usual narrative, the usual nonsense of us, you know, haggling and nickel and diming over a couple of million and ended up missing it for a biscuit. That hasn't happened. Everyone that we've wanted, we've got, with the exception of Bastoni and Guardiola. So I don't know how much blame there is to allocate, especially as Conte says he's happy. We just don't know yet. But we'll wait and see. Wednesday's just around the corner. Lots of time to reflect. I do imagine that the knives are going to be sharpening for those that want to, you know, push the Enoch narrative, and I can understand it. If that's their take, then they have enough reasons to be frustrated. But I hope we can be objective and try and slice through it in a way that analyzes, you know, have we gone wrong, and if so, where? What was the problem with the tactics this time? Was it not enough money? Was it the right players weren't available? Was it that we got who we wanted, or was it that we got beaten to the punch by players? And I don't remember us losing out to players that we wanted. I don't think we did. Rafinha? Don't think so. I can't remember too many other players that we wanted, apart from, you know, players that didn't leave their club anyway. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you at 3 o'clock actually, for the show with Dave on this channel. Love you all. Like, share and subscribe. And as always, guys, as always, bye bye.